Welcome, luminous souls, to the Magpie Library. I'm Rowan. Today we're unraveling the threads of beauty, aesthetics, and identity, not to judge what we wear, but to wonder why we wear it. This video isn't about shaming trends, it's about asking deeper questions, from clean girl simplicity to trad wife nostalgia. What stories are we being told about beauty? Who benefits from these stories? And who gets left out? Together, we'll explore how fashion and femininity are being shaped, not just by style, by power, politics, and profit, and how we might find our way back to something more authentic, more inclusive, more ourselves. So, make a cup of something warm, settle in, and let's wander through these layers together. So first I want to say, I am not the boss of you. Dress how you want. Modest, bold, sporty, expressive, whatever feels like you. Whether it's because of your values, because of your body image, your comfort, or your preference. I want you to wear what makes you feel comfortable and confident. So if at any point you feel like I'm telling you that you're doing something wrong, that you shouldn't dress how you choose, please rewind and re-listen to this part. I'm here to talk about the systems behind the aesthetics, not to shame anyone's individual style. I've always found myself feeling uneasy with the clean girl aesthetic. It's like something about it just rings hollow. And I kept thinking, why? Is it just because I reject the look? Or because so much of it feels exclusive, defining a standard of beauty that leaves so many people out? What is the clean girl aesthetic? Well, you might know it. That look with the slicked back hair, the glassy skin, the no makeup, neutral tones, and carefully curated minimalism. Who defines this as modern clean? According to an article in Vogue Business, on TikTok and Instagram, youth, wealth, light skin, and access to expensive wellness rituals are the signals. The average person, they can't sustain it. And I ask, who is deciding what is clean? What is the opposite of clean? What is that inferring about the women who are not choosing to embrace the clean girl aesthetic? The girl who wants to wear all black, who wants to get tattoos, or who wants to dress masculine, rocking basketball shorts and a jersey. Are they unclean? This binary sets us up against each other. When beauty standards demand privilege, homogeneity, modesty, who exactly gets to participate? This ideal celebrates one type of body, thin, youthful, texture-free, that leaves out older folks, plus-size bodies, folks with skin conditions. It creates a false standard. And then enter the trad wife aesthetic. Aprons, vintage skirts, homestead vibes, daily bread loaves, cozy, nostalgic, but also deeply political. Some within far-right circles see this as a reversion to strict gender roles, with whiteness cloaked as virtue. These aesthetics aren't accidental. They're curated by industries to sell and shape identity. That's commodity feminism, packaging empowerment so that compliance becomes profitable. Now these trends are being rebranded under the idea of the female gaze. You've probably heard if you're not dressing clean or modest, then you're dressing for the male gaze. But pause for a second. Who decided that's what the female gaze is? Who said the female gaze requires you be neutral, minimal, barely there? Spoiler alert, it wasn't women. Let's be real. There's absolutely no feminism in that framing. And while we're at it, there's no room for queerness. There's no room for play. There's no room for fluidity. It's just a sanitized aesthetic sold as empowering, but one that conveniently lines up with conservative ideas of what femininity should look like. Quiet, soft, modest, non-threatening. So I really ask, where is this coming from? Who's benefiting when we equate clean and modest with value and everything else with shame? To me, this is where queerness really matters, where fluidity really matters, because the actual female gaze, or maybe better said, the feminine gaze, isn't narrow, it's expansive, it's messy, it's playful, it includes adornment and androgyny, It includes leather and glitter and boxy silhouettes and femme fatale slink. It's not about appealing to men or to women, but about seeing and being seen in your full complexity. The feminine gaze, as queerness shows us, can be campy and dramatic and absurd and soft and sexy and angry, ecstatic. It doesn't have to be clean or quiet or neutral. It doesn't have to be beige. When we limit the female gaze to modesty and minimalism, we erase the femmes in mesh crop tops. We erase the butches in suits. We erase the trans women reclaiming glamour, the non-binary folks in eyeshadow and hoodies, drag performers who expand the idea of beauty to include joy, exaggeration, rebellion. And let's be honest, those expressions challenge power, which is exactly why they don't get signed by conservative beauty trends, because they're not containable. They're not easy to sell. In recent years, religious and conservative values have increasingly shaped fashion and beauty norms. Vogue Business reports a global shift towards modest, tailor-made, traditionally gendered aesthetics like quiet luxury and trad wife. This is tied to a rise in conservatism and nostalgic longing for stability. But nostalgia isn't neutral. You'll hear people talk about the return to simpler times, that longing for the so-called good old days. But we have to ask, who were those days good for? Because this kind of nostalgia is deeply racialized and classed. Better times that people talk about, the 1950s, the mid-century homemaker era, those weren't better times for everyone. They were only good for white, middle-class Americans. Meanwhile, Black, Latinx, immigrant, and working-class communities faced segregation and discrimination and economic oppression. What we're seeing when people say, let's go back, is really a longing to return to a time when whiteness and privilege were front and center. That nostalgia isn't harmless sentimentality, it's political. Populist leaders around the world use nostalgic messaging to invoke a golden age, a time of unity, of moral certainty and national greatness, even though those memories are often oversimplified or exclusionary. This idea of returning to something better is at the root a call to return to a time when whiteness, and specifically white middle-class conservatism, was centered, celebrated, and largely unchallenged. And that's where the fashion trends come in. The clean girl aesthetic, the trad wife trend, even quiet luxury. They're not just looks. They're tied to that same longing for control, for order, and for hierarchy. They're part of a larger cultural shift that says, let's make femininity palatable again. Let's roll back progress under the guise of refinement. So when I say these aesthetics are political, I mean it quite literally. Beauty doesn't exist in a vacuum. It reflects what we value and who we erase. So maybe it's time to take the gaze back, not to make it cleaner, but to make it truer, to make space for beauty that's strange, sacred, chaotic, joyful, beauty that lives in contradiction, for beauty that doesn't apologize. Let your gaze be unruly. Let it shimmer. Let it witness and reflect back the full, radiant spectrum of who we are. Because beauty isn't compliance. Beauty is freedom. And freedom should never be beige. I'm not saying that we can't love clean girl vibes or vintage style. If those looks make you feel at home in your body, then rock them. I don't care what we love, but I do care why we love them. Who's writing that narrative? And who's being written out of it? What if we reframe the conversation entirely? What if we change the language of clean and instead aimed to be authentic, expressive, expansive, and inclusive? Because femininity isn't one shape, or one tone, or one silhouette. It's fluid, it's flexible, it's deeply personal and wildly diverse. Let's celebrate all of the ways of being beautiful. Messy or polished, soft or sharp, loud or still. Let's make room for a gaze that doesn't reduce us, but reflects us in all of our luminous complexity. Thank you for unpacking this with me. If this resonates with you, let's keep the conversation going. Share, comment, pass it on. Please like and subscribe, because real choice is powerful and informed choice is revolutionary. Stay expressive, stay discerning, and remember to tend to yourself as though you are sacred, because you are.